will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebs and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and enthogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck, Rico Lamitte, and Nicole West, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time. Thank you for getting high at 9 with us.
I have no idea what's going on with my fucking camera. Try this.
All right. Well,
it's all right.
It's all good. Let's get started this morning. It is.
I got everything also. You want me to get the intro?
Go for it.
Yeah.
All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. It's Thursday, October 27th, with this National Beer Day for all the lucky gout-free folks out there, unlike me. National Black Cat Day, an ode to all the terrible people who hate black dogs, and also Cranky Coworkers Day, 24 hours of turning smiles upside down in honor of the workplace Debbie Downers in your life. We appreciate y'all tuning in to High at 9 at News and our well-rounded team of global correspondents today and every weekday at 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. It doesn't matter if you love or hate us, just hit the subscribe button and share us on your favorite social media platforms and tell your friends about something you learned here with us today. We're on video on YouTube, except for me today, because my shit's just busted. And Twitch, also audio only on Clubhouse. But if you do choose Clubhouse, you can also raise your hand to share a brief comment or questions on the story presented. We got a great show for everybody today with important industry related topics from around the globe. But before we do all that, a message from our sponsors. And I'm going to reboot my shit, so maybe you guys can see me. Maybe not.
At True Classic OG, we live by one motto: stay true. We stay true to our legacy cut of True OG that's always fresh, piney, gassy, and delicious. We represent the spirit, hustle, and diversity of our great city of Angels. And we stay true to the spirit of this plant, doing everything in-house to ensure that you get the highest quality and consistency with every batch. And that's what's made us LA's favorite OG. True Classic OG. Stay true, Los Angeles.
Rico hasn't made it back yet. Where'd he go?
Oh, Rico's not back yet. I'll introduce you.
Fell
right
into
now.
the universe.
Holy fucking shit! It's Thursday, everyone. Ooh. And Jason, your internet is jamming. Maybe we'll get started right now. I'll introduce Jason Beck and hopefully see if your internet's working. And Jason, if your internet's not working, I'll jump in and do my story.
Nice green screen there, Jason.
Yeah, we had to throttle back his appearance. Mar-a-Lago died because the internet is against him this morning. So Jason Beck, longest running retailer in the history of regulated cannabis, also the member of whatever political party might piss you off. And this year, that seems to be a Republican. What do you have for us today, Jason?
Oh, yeah. Good morning, Nicole. Hope everyone is having an amazing day and doing a lot better than our internet situation is doing over here today, because the internet is sucking balls. But today, there's a Washington lawmaker faces allegations she derailed the social equity cannabis program. An independent investigation found a Washington state representative took steps behind the scenes to silence BIPOC business owners. Representative Malene Morgan, a Democrat from Parkland, faces allegations that she derailed the Social Equity and Cannabis Task Force. The findings came after a workplace misconduct investigation commissioned by the State House of Representatives. One was initiated after a task force staff member accused Morgan of abusive and bullying behavior. Mike Assai, the black executive in cannabis, has been keeping close tabs on the task force since it was created in the 2020s because he has a lot at stake. In a quote, he says, We're fighting for inclusion and won't stop until we see proper inclusion, he said. Asai owned one of the first medical cannabis retailers in downtown Seattle. He's been trying to get a new cannabis retail license from the state for about 6 years now. There are currently no Black-owned dispensaries in the city of Seattle. Many have accused the task force of not moving quickly enough to give BIPOC entrepreneurs access to cannabis licenses. In a quote, they say, what you have here is illusion of inclusion, Asai said, of thinking you have a Black representative that's for the Black community, but it's the illusion. According to the investigative report, Morgan ordered a chat box used by the community to interact with the task force online to be shut down. Despite pushback, Morgan considered the chat box a distraction, according to a witness. Asai said shutting down the chat box was absolutely a way to silence the community, and it was a way for members of the public and people that were joining on the task force to communicate with each other, he said. According to the report, when a staff member told Morgan that the community was losing trust in the task force, the representative stated she did not need to give members of the public who were in disgruntled airtime. Complaints against Morgan also included delaying the work of the task force. Former task force co-chair Paulus Sardinas told King 5 News in a statement that Morgan would constantly cancel meetings to slow down our work. This happened repeatedly. Sardines eventually left the task force, and according to the report, Morgan refused to fill the position. King 5 reached out to Morgan in a statement. She called the report misleading, politically motivated, and incomplete. Morgan said she has filed an appeal. Meanwhile, the task force plans to submit its final recommendations for social equity to the state legislature in November. Well, take that, you guys, all you people that say that Democrats are the only ones that want to include minorities in cannabis space, but right now you have a Democrat that is not allowing it to happen in the great state of Washington, right here on the West Coast. So now what do all of my Democratic friends have to say about this prohibitionist mule? And this is Jason Beck reporting for the High at 9 News.
All right. Well, since I'm the only Democrat on the stage right now, or somebody that would even consider themselves, I'm not really, I don't actually consider myself a Democrat. Let me be very clear about that. I consider myself an anti-political party in like a lot of levels, which I know serves almost no purpose. But in the idea that it was being stopped, I think about so many like of these situations where it's being stopped, but is it being like redirected for someone else? You know what I mean? I often
not
see
according to the community in this report. It doesn't state that.
Yeah.
Just saying, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's
sure.
right.
Because they're not the people that it's being redirected to.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. What did she shut down a chat box?
She shut down a chat box where they had members of the BIPOC community and other stakeholders or whatnot that were communicating in regards to how they were going to implement the social equity component in Washington. And basically, she, from my interpretation of the article, basically is like she was getting a lot of pushback from a lot of different community members. And so she was just like, I'm just going to silence you all, and just that's what Democrats do. They silence people and they remove the chat box.
Don't these people have phones, email? I mean, like the chat box is the only way to coordinate their fucking efforts. I mean, this is
they made a chat box. They made a chat box so then that way they could all talk about the same thing in the same platform. That way everyone had access to it. And then all of a sudden, the Democrats wanted to cancel their voices.
But go get. Yeah, and like make a fucking Facebook group or like a fucking Slack channel or a Discord. There's like 900,000 ways to communicate to each other. But this was like everybody aggregate in one place, which does make where just click the button and join. It does make it easier. But the idea that that was what it took to like thwart the industry. It's like, no, there's.
Silenced by Democrats.
Was it just beeping too much? And she's like, "Oh, I can't take this shit." And so she
people get mad at Slack, man. I've literally been
shut down chats all the time. I'm like,
I've been like verbally assaulted over fucking Slack channels by people. They're like,
See?
I can't handle the beeping, and I'm like, are you fucking serious? Turn it off. Like, here's the functions. And by the way, if you just go into the chat functions for most of those fucking apps, there's like some way to get it to shut the fuck up and not bother you, and just go to it when you need. Don't let
you know what I've always found the best way to do it?
Fuck this thing.
The best thing that I found for that is to not allow any of these bullshit apps to give you notifications. That is probably the easiest way. Start off from not allowing push notifications from the Jump Street, and you probably won't have this problem.
That's true. Like if you're just, choose when to go to it.
Yeah.
I be getting too high sometimes though and forgetting about stuff. So I'm like, notify me when I get added. That's an option. Like if you get tagged, it'll send the ping. Otherwise it doesn't. Because there's like hundreds of people in some of these fucking threads that I'm in. Man, it gets overwhelming. It gets overwhelming.
I'm saying. I mean,
but I don't think she shut it down because she was annoyed. I think she shut it down because she was being a B word. But like,
yeah, if you can't roll with the punches, man, stay out the fucking chat.
I think she was. What do you think, Nicholas Wildstar? Are you with us in Clubhouse? What do you think about this? Nick, are you with us?
We lost him.
Can you hear me?
We hear you. There we go, Nick. What do you think about this? This Democrat that is silencing the voices of the BIPOC community.
It's just typical from the left. I mean, as much as they want to say they're inclusionary and want to provide more opportunities for people of color to be heard, here you have an actual person of color doing. So it's just typical hypocritical political bullshit that we should keep in mind come election day. It's coming up soon, people. I don't know if this person is up for re-election or not, but obviously they need to go.
Exactly.
Well, and I would also say to Nicholas's point, I mean, come election day, you shouldn't vote just based on past party allegiances. Vote on what people are actually doing. People need to pay more attention to what's going on in the world. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Pay attention.
Does no one care? All right, fine. Thanks.
No, sorry.
The affirmation. Somebody.
My internet totally dropped, Gretchen. I'm sorry. I didn't get anything that you said.
Oh, okay.
Mercury is in Gatorade today for us. God.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I got too high before the show, so I'm a little. My reaction time's not as good as it should be.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear what you said, Gretchen, but I'm gonna be willing to put a bet that I probably agree with whatever you said.
I simply said don't vote based on party affiliations. Vote on what politicians do. Actually look at their track records.
Vote your heart.
I totally agree with that.
They're awesome because they cared about pot 40 years ago. Care about what they're doing now.
How many people do we need to say? How many people do we need to say that till people start even listening to that shit again? Because right now, everybody just votes for their party.
Well, I think what we need to do is we need to mass educate the people on how to look at political people's voting records, so then that way they can actually see and understand it, because the average person doesn't ever look at that or care to it. They just go off the puff pieces and the ads that are hit pieces and whatnot and just base their opinion solely on that.
It's like picking wine. If you have a cool name, people will vote for you.
That is true. It is a lot easier. It is a lot easier to get elected if you can have a good name.
I thought about my name with like West in my name. I feel like if I ran for something on the West Coast, I could probably do pretty well just because of my last name.
I thought that my name was Wildstar, and you would think somebody would win an election.
People would vote. Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Exactly, Nick. I'm with you on that, bro. Wildstar. Yeah, someone in California. It's the Wild Wild West.
I went to do my absentee ballot this year, and I was looking at my member for Congress, and it said, that he was a Republican. And all of a sudden, I'm like, what the hell? This guy used to be a Democrat. So I'm looking around to see if he switched parties. He's retiring, and the same jagoff who's running now for his seat has the same damn name. And so he's not advertising that he's a Republican. He's just putting his name up there, and he's like,
oh, that's a great one.
And
that's
so it's
a great
just like
one.
Distinguished Gentleman. Remember that movie with Eddie Murphy?
Yeah, that was great.
Name on the ballot. I was like, what?
That's a pretty good idea.
Republicans never win in this district, so I think it's gonna be fun to see if he wins.
You know what's funny is I have a good friend of mine who is running for the mayor of Peoria in Arizona, and he has the exact same name as mine. He is also my brother from another mother, the other Jason Beck.
Oh yeah.
I have a Nicole East that lives in Long Beach, and she spells it with an H too. So that makes me really happy.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I think it's my turn though to speak.
It's very
supposed to introduce me.
Shit's all fucked up. All right. Introduce. I'm gonna just wing this shit. My computer's all fucked up. Everything's all fucked up here. Nicole West's favorite fucking word in the universe. She is a agriculture and efficiency expert who spent 30 days in a cold Colorado cell, so you won't have to do the same damn thing. She comes to the stage with us, bringing a wealth of knowledge from above and underground. And if you're lucky, she just might be nice to you today, even though it is Disgruntled Worker Day. Nicole West, what do you have for us on this beautiful
fuck.
Thursday?
It's just disgruntled worker day, man. That's a real one. And there's a lot of them around here, man. There's going to be a lot of disgruntled trap workers coming up here in the near future in Los Angeles. My headline this morning is coming out of the Redheaded Black Belt, and it's New Unified Cannabis Task Force targets illegal indoor cultivation in industrial warehouses in Southern California. In continuing its aggressive crackdown against illegal cannabis operators threatening the environment, communities, public health, and legal market, the Unified Cannabis Enforcement Task Force, or the UCETF, took recent actions to shut down unlicensed indoor cultivation operations in large industrial warehouses across the San Fernando Valley. Led by the Department of Cannabis Control, or the DCC, Department Fish and Wildlife, or the CDFW, and the Governor's Office of Emergency Services, as well as other local state partners, the UCETF operations spanned the 2 days that included a total of 13 search warrants served between October 18th and October 19th on unlicensed indoor cultivation operations in the Sun Valley suburb outside of Los Angeles. Officers eradicated 7,503 plants and more than 936 pounds of processed cannabis flowers. Sorry, guys, I got way too high this morning. Worth of estimated value and close to $8 million. Using air monitors, the California Department of Toxic Substances Control, or the DTSC, detected high levels of banned toxic chemicals at some of these sites. Criminal cannabis operators, like those we enforce against in the operations, jeopardize the health of their workers by using toxic chemicals to fertilize indoor cultivations that undercut the legal market and present safety risks to the consumers, said the DCC operator and director, Nicole Elliott. While the DCC works hard to support the transition of legacy operators into the legal market, we have zero tolerance for the behavior that will work with partners, and we will work with partners across the state, local, and federal government agencies to shut it down. Damn, I'm totally just picturing her saying that. If anybody's ever met Nicole Elliott, that sounds like a fun thing to have watched her say. Samples taken from unlabeled chemicals and extracted distillate will be tested. Laboratory results will be provided for the use of the building in criminal cases. The Los Angeles Department of Water and Power disconnected all power at all locations and finding safety code violations of all 13 sites. This operation uncovers a perfect example of the disregard for health and safety of the lengths that people will go to grow illegal cannabis, says Carlton Boham, director of the DCFW. This type of activity is a huge threat and detrimental to the burgeoning legal market that we are working so hard to support. This operation is another important step in protecting communities. California is committed to working across all levels of government to take aggressive action against bad actors and criminal organizations, said Cal OES Director Market Gudalarchi, Director of Cal OES and the Governor's Homeland Security Advisor. Criminal investigations are ongoing and completed in the cases and will be submitted to the Los Angeles County District Attorney Office. In addition, cases for civil penalties may be submitted into the California Attorney General's Office by the Los Angeles City Attorney's Office as appropriate. We are grateful for the partnership and collaboration of the Unified Enforcement Task Force in helping us take legal action of cannabis operations and around the County of Los Angeles. This is an all-hands-on-deck issue that requires partners from local, state, and federal agencies to work together. We are looking forward to all of the added support. Agencies that are now partnering in this operation include the Department of Cannabis Control Law Enforcement Division, the Department of Cannabis Control Compliance Division, California Department of Fish and Wildlife, California Department of Industrial Relations, California Department of Insurance, California Department of Tax and Fee Administration. That's the scariest one out of all of them so far. California Department of Toxic Substance Control, Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, and Los Angeles Police Department Foothill Division. Enforcement activities are important in eliminating the unfair competition and protecting national natural resources and safeguarding communities. Alongside the enforcement efforts, the state expanding its access to tested cannabis products for consumers, including the $20 million grant program approved by the governor in 2022 in the budget that would allow the DCC to grant cities and counties with funding to support the creation of cannabis retail access in areas that currently do not allow it. This is very important that everybody hears this. That was a statement from the Department of Fish and Wildlife that got released on their memo board, and it's being distributed throughout all of those agencies. All of these agencies are all now banding together to come up against any illegal operators, and they're coming in hard on Los Angeles right now. There's been a lot of issues in regards to like water and power abatements. So there's going to be some real easy ways for them to come after you very quickly. And it sounds like they are coming fierce. And I just wanted everybody to hear it from the direct memo from the government, excuse me, from the horse's mouth. And I'm super curious to hear what everyone has to say. And also I'm kind of blown away that I didn't hear about this through the grapevine. This happened over the past couple days, but I haven't heard anything. But now I'm hearing there's a lot of things getting shut down. And I'm Nicole S. getting high at 9 for y'all.
Sequel is bullshit and has to go.
We'll say that again, Nick.
Sequel, California sequel is bullshit and it has to go.
Get it? Yeah, sequel. You know,
it isn't helping at all. As far as I've heard, it's,
well,
it actually caused more trouble in industry than
CEQA is super fucking annoying, but that's like the least of the worries on this situation, Nick. This is like
but taxpayers are paying for that service. So I'm saying if it's a government outfit that isn't working and we're spending more money on it and it's preventing people in the industry from being able to conduct business, then we need to get rid of it at this point and just
I mean,
under existing commerce law.
But CEQA has a really important place in business in California. It just doesn't necessarily make sense for all of the cannabis businesses to have to go through the rigorous amounts of things that California requires of the cannabis businesses for CEQA. But I definitely, there's a big reason for CEQA as far as like the safety protocols that it requires for businesses to undergo. And certain of our cannabis businesses do deserve CEQA regulations. Not all of them. A lot of them, it's fucking bullshit. Like retailers and the way that they wrote the way, no, but it doesn't matter. CEQA is not to stop illegal growers. CEQA is to help regulate the currently operating growers that are licensed to follow certain regulations and more than growers. And I mean, the Department
of... You really think they don't know who is using water and getting away with it? Somebody's getting paid under the table. Come on, you know it.
CEQA is more of a concern for like dumping and stuff too. And so it's just, it is the world that we fall under. It is what we fall under. It's like saying that we don't need, ISO standards for our testing labs. It's just what the testing labs require. And once you deal with certain chemicals, you fall under CEQA regulations. And so CEQA is just, it's so much bigger than weed, right?
I would say it's more like FDA.
I mean, once we're federally regulated.
Right. Yeah, man. I'm with you, Nicholas. Down with all of the acronyms. If your acronym is more than 3 letters,
if you're part of the alphabet soup, Rico, you're saying we should just pour the bowl out?
Abolish it. Any acronym more than 3 letters needs to be abolished.
The Department of Fish and Wildlife is probably one of the most valuable fucking departments that we have. The California Department of Fish and Wildlife is like legit one of the only agencies that's doing anything to help preserve our fucking like land, right? Like if I had to choose one that got to stay, it would be the Department of Fish and Wildlife.
If you take out the conjunctions, DFW, that's 3. So let them stay.
All right, whatever.
It's real sweet and cute to say dump all acronyms, but that's not reality.
It's not reality at all. But I'm even saying like the big ones aren't. A lot of the bigger ones are actually doing the more fucking letters you get. Sometimes the more like finite your specialty is, and like the environment, like you know. Anyways, what a great way to segue about finite specialties into Rico Lamitte, the most finite specialty of them all. Rico is literally tackling problems on a daily basis, helping raise a family, and help make sure that everybody around the globe knows that cannabis and parenting and being a dope dad are all pretty fucking cool. Rico, what do you have for us today? Sipping some tea?
A little bit of tea because it's cold as fuck here in LA. It's a balmy 58 degrees. And
I told you, Gretchen.
Yeah, Gretchen, I told you it's nasty out here today.
I got my heater.
Last year, I got cold for the first time in California after 12 years, and now I'm officially bitch made. So,
it's so cold in California, Rico. My internet's not even working over here.
Dude, like my shit's all fucked up too. I tell you what, man,
y'all are sad. You're the people who like wear your winter coats when it's like 60 degrees out. Y'all
it's because our winter coats are stylish, Gretchen.
Hey, every day is always hoodie weather. Get yours. All right, so thank you for the intro, Nicole, and thank you everybody for tolerating the tech gremlins from us this morning. My headline today is from the Times of Israel by Nathan Jaffe. Cloned cannabis cells with 12 times more potency are grown in Israeli bioreactor. The company behind the tech, Israel, global leader in advancement of cannabinoid sciences and Kanye West's least favorite vacation spot. Israeli biotech firm BioHarvest Sciences announced a breakthrough in cannabinoid science this week that could potentially change the medical and dietary supplement game forever. The company claims to have cloned hemp cells and grew them into a new substance that maintains all active compounds while increasing potency 12 times over. BioHarvest CEO Ilan Sobel says the process involves replicating cells taken from hemp plants grown in manufactured systems designed to support biologically active environments called bioreactors to produce huge numbers of identical cells. We grow them in huge bioreactors in just 3 weeks, while regular cannabis takes 14 to 23 weeks, Sobel told the Times. Our tech can also significantly increase the levels of active ingredients as percent of the weight versus what is found normally in the plant. Sobel also alleges every bioreactor generated gram requires significantly less water than those grown from traditionally cannabis plants and will stretch considerably further in terms of treating medical patients. Nobel did throw a couple informational haymakers out there that, if proven, can be replicable and sustainable, have the ability to change the cannabis industry in unimaginable ways. But he declined to offer any real details. BioHarvest Sciences proprietary bioplant celicitation, that is a real fucking name of their technology. And I know that name is terrible, but puns don't necessarily equate to scams, folks. He says the bioplant celicitation, like solicitation, process reliably 12x's the potency of donor cultivars and produces high amounts of minor cannabinoids such as THCV 2.5% and CBDV 4.4%, providing unique medical and commercial benefits for the future. If you're anything like me, you'll probably begin writing BioHarvest Sciences off as soon as you heard that scammy bioplant celicitation name, if not sooner. If you're really like me, you probably think this announcement coming from an Israeli biotech firm is a little too well timed for them to be dropping a strain potent enough to successfully shut Kanye West the fuck up. However, just last month, they were awarded the 2022 Sustainability Leadership Award from Business Intelligence Group for groundbreaking achievements in water usage and electric productivity, and land usage for yielding 54 times more cannabis grown per liter of water utilized as compared to traditional indoor cultivation, 8 times more cannabis grown per kilowatt hour, and 19 times more cannabis output per square meter per 12 months. So it seems they have been recently making a name for themselves. I'll reserve judgment until we're able to dig deeper into the details on their tech and actually see this shit in action. But if what they're saying holds up, we might be witnessing a true watershed moment in real time for cannabis industry as we know it. Per the Times of Israel, BioHarvest Sciences plans to reveal full additional information related to its processes by the end of the year, and the company's already began applying for necessary licenses to manufacture and sell its products for medical use in Israel and the United States. I'm Rico Lamitte, dopest dad on the street, and this is High at 9 News. I'm interested in everybody else's thoughts. Is this real or not?
Okay, first, I just want to chime in by saying that Israel, with regard to technology in cannabis, is starting to kick all of our asses. I just want to put that out there. There's some badass
They've been doing
infusion
that
technology, and oh my god, they're really crushing it, considering that it's Israel and they have some of the worst weed ever.
Also, Rico, you know what I have?
You lost
cannabis, right? And you're asking if whether or not
say that last part again. You just cut out a little bit.
I did.
Jason.
Is to look in the press and to see if there's any articles with the parents saying, "What about the children because of too high THC percentages?"
Ooh.
So, is there any Israeli articles outlining that? Because if it's not an argument, this is probably fake news.
What do you mean?
I
don't understand your logic. That's a logical fallacy right there. That's like the most fucked up logical fallacy I've ever heard in my life. So yes, I do believe this is real. Okay, so to answer your question with like a real answer, Rico, whatever the fuck that was, Jason. I'm the high one. I'm so high, but like that was fun.
Jason's in the training room. Jason's in the X-Men training room right now.
Yes. I wish he was wearing the thing with all the little balls all over it. Like, no, so this is possible, first of all. And the reality that this was possible has been something that they've been working on in Israel. And in America, there's a couple scientists that I know that were working on it. Ironically enough, both of them are Israeli too. Maybe that's connected. But this specific technology of being able to essentially just grow your cannabinoids. It makes sense. And now, we have all of these other availabilities of like converting one cannabinoid into like every other cannabinoid. So at this point, anything's possible as far like what I was being told by the scientist that was explaining this to me about 5 years ago. This was research that they were doing, was that they could literally just on a petri dish grow THC with this process. And I was like, that's very interesting. It's like, you don't need any plant matter, you need nothing. And I thought that, way to go science, but also I'll keep my fucking weed, I'm going to keep my weed. But the further we go down this rabbit hole, the further, we are into the world of like,
and we'll never have real weed ever again.
I mean, I think we will. It's like the way that there's still real, like good, like small batch beers, and like there is still good herbal medicines available. You just got to go, you got to search harder. You know what I mean? Like it does exist, but it's not like you don't get to walk into your like common store and get it.
Well, Enrico, I would think that this is just frankly, a different industry. I think that, you look at these clone cannabis cells more for the medicinal side, for things that require the kind of rigorous standards and higher potency that you might be looking for to perhaps treat cancers and other things. I don't think your weed is going to go away. I don't think it's going to replace what is going your flower. I don't think that's the route at all.
The way these lawsuits are going, flying around saying people's weed is not as potent as they say it's going to be, I guarantee you some of these synthetics are going to hit the fucking market just trying to get people super duper stoned.
I get that, but that is when we can perhaps hopefully
so are all these
rely on the
greenies
good
and
old
environmentalists
FDA and actual people. I'm not worried about this research that's being done in Israel, and I think, frankly, that people are going to look to them when we need these advancements in science. I say go Israel. I'm not as worried about the mothers and the bitches who are out there saying, what about the children? I don't think that's an argument that comes into this.
I think it's real science. It's really happening. It's for isolated cannabinoids. It's for the people that we're going to convert it or do some other version of something like that anyways. It's so that they can have one molecule, like the doctors on our show are always talking about. They're like, we can't have like all these variables, because that's not how science works.
How long until somebody's taking these pills and crushing them up and snorting them?
Well, you guys,
6 months.
Ultimately, the goal is to be moving more and more towards, for these particular folks, right?
Mm-hmm.
The intention is to move towards push limits and the capabilities of this plant and driving forward its medicinal values by isolating these cannabinoids, right? Like there's all these different theories. And so if you can grow that intensity in a machine, it becomes more pharma attractive. Yeah. And it becomes more medicinal, so to speak, in theory. But again, you guys, if you're not researching what Israel is doing and what they're researching, oh my gosh, there is so much that's amazing, like just amazing ideas coming out of Israel. I'm excited.
100%.
Yeah, pretty soon there's gonna be nothing but big pharma left in America, and then you know what? They're gonna start posting the license plates of these medical transport vehicles, and you're gonna have this shit on the streets.
Big pharma is the biggest lobbyer of Congress.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and
well,
I feel
of course
like
they can do that because they have 100,000% markup on their vaccines.
Yeah. That's a great time for our disclaimer. Wow, what a great. All right. Sorry, guys, I'm really high, so I'm going to practice my breathing. All right. The thoughts and opinions in general shaped on the High at 9 News are those individual speakers, not those of any other speaker or its followers. Statements made do not constitute legal or accounting advice, and our speakers make no representation regarding the legal status of any country, substance, area, territory, or its authorities. The views expressed in this room do not establish fiduciary relationships. Responses do not comply, constitute the endorsement by us, the expression of any opinion whatsoever, any speaker or anyone on stage. If you're an easily offended person, this show is probably not for you. Also, I'm not really sure what to say right here.
Flying into LAX and you want to taste some of the best weed in the world? Then stop by LAXCC, the closest dispensary to LAX, located at 8332 Lincoln Boulevard and open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. Always make LAXCC your first stop when you touch down and mention you'd like to get high at 9 for 10% off your full order.
She's well known in certain DC circles for cooking up excellence in the kitchen and not getting arrested for civil disobedience. Coming to the stage next, it is the feisty redheaded Republican herself. And you know what? She's also the founder of Panoptic Strategies. Coming to the stage, the lover of all things John Fetterman, Gretchen Gailey.
Oh, Fetterman. Bless his heart. All right. My headline today is coming from Marijuana Moment. And the headline is White House drug czar applauds Biden's historic marijuana actions. Says youth cannabis concerns shouldn't nullify medical benefits. The White House drug czar is touting President Joe Biden's historic move to issue a mass marijuana pardon and direct an administrative review of the drug's scheduling status. And he is again highlighting that there are clearly medical benefits of cannabis, which he says shouldn't be ignored because of separate concerns about youth use. During an interview with the Washington Post on Wednesday, Rahul Gupta, director of the Office of National Drug Control Policy, also spoke about the way federal marijuana prohibition has impeded scientific research. And he addressed a variety of other drug policy issues, including broader drug harm reduction services and cannabis decriminalization. He made a point to applaud the president for pardoning people who've committed federal marijuana possession offenses, and again said that the Justice Department and U.S. Department of Health and Human Services will expeditiously carry out a scheduling review per Biden's instructions. He said, what the president has announced is historic in nature. No one before in the history of the United States has made those proclamations. The official acknowledged the limitations of the pardon proclamation, however, stating that the bulk of marijuana cases play out at the state level, which is why it's important that Biden called on governors to follow the administration's lead with further cannabis clemency action. Asked whether the presidential pardons represent a step towards decriminalizing cannabis, Gupta said that this is certainly a step that the president believes deeply in. He believes that people should not be arrested or convicted for sole possession or use of marijuana. He added that taking steps to provide relief to people who've been criminalized over marijuana is part of the administration's efforts to look at our justice policies from an equity lens, saying that Black people are on average 4 times more likely to face marijuana arrests despite comparable rates of usage across races. Gupta, who previously worked to implement a state medical cannabis program while serving as a West Virginia health commissioner, also reiterated that clearly data is behind certain medical uses for cannabis. Notably, he said that there's also plenty of evidence that underage marijuana use is associated with cognitive development issues. However, that doesn't nullify the medical benefits that have been documented in science over the years. The drug czar also said the cannabis's federally restricted status has made it hard to study, a point that legalization advocates have made for years. A lot of this is developing science. I mean, there's been bans on marijuana, and that's resulted in a deficiency of literature and science and scientific research behind it. So I'm glad that we're able to see more science develop so we will get closer to the truth. To me, as a scientist, it is really important to know, hey, what are the facts, both good and bad, so we can make good, sound policy based on that data. Director's consistent stance on the therapeutic benefits of cannabis and the consequences of criminalization are all the more notable given that he's statutorily obligated to advocate against legalizing Schedule I drugs, and he's repeatedly declined opportunities to do so. I do applaud Raul Gupta's efforts for being out there and being outspoken about the medical benefits of cannabis. I would hardly be out there, though, touting Biden's great accomplishments. To say that because he's the first guy to ever say anything doesn't mean that he did a damn thing. This is Gretchen for High at 9 News.
Yeah, I second that last
heat, Gretchen.
I think it's weird that we use the word czar. Just I wanted to mention that because it means like king or like emperor.
Right.
It's it's like this like very like I am in charge, like role, like fucking you need a staff and like a fucking court of people and a jester or something. I just think it's such a weird thing. And it seems to only really come up a lot in the drug czar, like in this world, like the king.
Not a czar face.
Nicole has smoked way too much this morning.
Who else gets called a czar in political situations often? Like I don't. What other Gretchen? I honestly don't know.
They do on occasion throw in a czar but the drug czar is the
it's
only
the
one.
That's what I mean. Yeah. That's what I mean. It's funny because it's like to me it's just like he's like surrounded by all these like piles of drugs and he's like I am the drug czar. He comes in with like
at what point do you call it?
He's like I got all the money.
At what point do you spell it CZAR rather than TSAR?
I think it's CZAR the way we spell it in America, but the Russian way is with the T.
Interesting.
Okay, yeah. Does anyone actually want to comment on the story?
Oh, sorry, my bad. I got lost in my emperor of drugs.
I mean,
nope.
Did anyone not expect him to say what a great job Biden did? I mean, did you expect him to say like, "Hey, you know what? You went okay, but you should have gone farther"? Did you really expect him to say anything other than
no?
Being,
I don't expect him to step out of line, and frankly, he can't. I mean, what's the point of him talking about letting people out of jail? That's not his purview. That's not the drug czar's role. So no, he's doing very well, keeping in line with what he's supposed to be doing.
And this comments for Guap in the audience as well. Yes, I'm going to bring up Donald Trump. If he was on Donald Trump's, if he was in Donald Trump's cabinet, he would ride or die. They never stayed in their lane. Just all different kinds of people. Just
who didn't stay in their lane?
Oh, there was a lot of people that didn't stay in their lane.
Nobody stayed in their lane. They're just like
Paul Ryan. That's Paul Ryan for starters.
Who?
How about Paul Ryan for starters?
What are you talking about?
Donald Trump's doctor said he's a human specimen of excellence.
Okay, well, he's not a cabinet member. and
I am the drug czar.
Oh,
I mean, there was tons of Trump had tons of cabinet members that were going against him.
Nobody did it. That's great for TV and it's great for the country. You need that friction in there. You know what I'm saying? And Joe Biden never listened to Obama either. He was all out of line with his fucking comments too. Like, what the fuck is all this? You know,
what
like,
are you talking about?
Oh, now you stepped up your game.
Yeah.
I am the
So
drug
it's just
czar.
run amok. I don't know.
I'm not surprised by this.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Gretchen. I just
You can
did
move
get
it.
I got lost in the
man,
drug czar thing, but like honestly, I thought about it and I was like, politically, I went on a tangent. Like, politically, who else gets called a czar besides? And then I was like, what does czar mean exactly? And I Googled it and I was like,
Czar
it literally means emperor or like king. And I'm like, this is so fucking weird. Like, why are we calling them that? I know that I went on a tangent and I was funny
the
about
drug
it.
king. Well, we call them drug kingpins.
That's literally
so
our government
Kingpin.
version. That's what I'm
Going
trying
forward.
to say. Our government version of it is still a drug king.
That
Like
means
our
that means
criminal
that-
version is a drug king, and our government version
and our
is the
legal
drug
side,
king.
yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
well,
It's all the same
fun-
thing.
Never
Here's a
happened
fun
where it's
tidbit for
monarch.
you, Nicole, to chew on. The first drug czar was Harry Anslinger.
Yeah.
And there you have it.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm
They're
sorry
like
I got lost,
Messi.
but that was good information to get to. I'm sorry I was so high about it, but like
When you hold that, I don't think czar. I think more Harry Potter.
it is my Harry Potter wand.
Okay, all right.
It's my Harry Potter.
It looks like
it controls TV. It's a remote control.
God. Let's keep
All
the
right,
Harry Potter thing.
Next
Let's
story.
keep moving.
That was good information to know, though. Harry Anslinger was the first drug czar. That is fucking super information.
He was the OG.
AKA Harry Potter.
So we should abolish that position altogether.
AKA Harry Potter.
Up next, this Wisconsin-rooted Fresno-based raptivist reps the strong Black conservative voice mainstream media and Joe Biden do not want you to know exists. But I'll tell you what, haters and race baiters alike will not black out the Black side of liberty, perpetually exposing the man, the myths, all of those out there put out to us by the lamestream media. Up next, it's my man, my brother himself, Nicholas Wildstar. What do you have for us today, Governor?
Appreciate it, Rico, and hello, everyone. For as far as the eye can see, there are identical rows of crops with the occasional farmhouse or family home. One of these homes looks unassuming from the outside. There's nothing unusual about the building or the land around it, except that there's a small sense in singing hymns as they walk in step, blessing their cannabis plants. These women are the Sisters of the Valley, better known as the Weed Nuns, led by Sister Kate. The women are members of a self-proclaimed enclave of nuns who identify as healers and feminists, but more importantly, I chose an industry that is messed up, Sister Kate says. It's going to probably be messed up, and I'm probably going to have to do a lot of dancing and sidestepping. She's referring to all the confusing technicalities in the law surrounding California's cannabis industry. It was the first state to legalize medical marijuana in 1996, and recreational use has been legal since 2016. The state's law, however, is full of regulatory loopholes, which means the legality of marijuana cultivation varies from county to county. In city, nearly 2/3 of California cities have banned marijuana businesses, with others making it extremely difficult to obtain permits. This means that for the Sisters of the Valley, growing their 60 plants outside of Merced County does not fall within the law. The sheriffs know that. They just let me do this. There's really no reason for them to let me. They could have shut me down by now, but just because it's illegal to grow cannabis in this county. But I think that they know we will just challenge the law and get it changed then in the county. And I think they know it would be a fight, which the sisters call the Abbey. It's where the medicine making takes place. Sister Camilla carefully pours super strength CBD oil into tincture bottles. They produce and sell all their own hemp-based medicines and salves, a business that before the pandemic was grossing 1.2 million every batch. They're now making half that. The initial application fee for a retail license in California is $1,000. After that, there are annual state administrative and regulatory fees that can add up to tens of thousands of dollars a year for small businesses, and up to $100,000 legally is much more expensive than operating illegally, acting as an incentive to dealers. The illegal trade in marijuana is estimated to be around worth $8 billion, roughly twice as big as the illegal trade in California in 2021. Stopping the illegal growers and operations so the focus of most local law enforcers. That approach would benefit growers like the weed nuns, Sister Kate says. The truth is, I'd love for them to permit us, because that would be a win, and because we believe in paying taxes. I'm not sure why that is, because taxes ain't ties, sister. So to the people of the community who need it. Reporting for the High at 9 News Hour, this is Nick Wildstar, a.k.a. the Governor. Speak now, forever hold your peace.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nick. I heard at the end you're like, why are we trying to pay taxes if if everyone's letting them exit?
I love that.
Bro, that's so rad. I
Yeah,
love
that's
that.
so cool.
When
I
saw the
holier
Amish
than thou
people,
weed.
when I saw the Amish people growing weed, I thought that was really cool. But I think the nuns growing weed is cooler. I'm sorry, Amish people.
The Amish call it green. The Amish
Where was that out
call
of?
it green corn.
What was the location of that?
They're out of California.
I
The
think
nuns.
It's kind of a big
Valley,
state. Like where?
Did it say, Nicholas,
volunteers.
where these nuns actually exist?
They don't look like
Merced
Central
County.
Valley.
They're in Merced.
It does not look
Near
like
Merced.
Higher.
Yeah, that's the Central
Did you
Valley.
say?
I've met these ladies before, actually. I've
Ooh,
met
that
them.
one.
Did you say Chad County?
Full sleeve. She has 2 full sleeves.
Yeah, something
too.
like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Chemo's trying to holler. Chemo's trying to holler at them from the chat.
Hey,
No, they're really nice. They're
Mary
really nice.
Magdalene.
Yeah, they're very, very nice, but very interesting way of going at it in the industry. Cannabis is definitely a priority there.
Hold on. You've gone to talk to them, Mandy?
Yeah.
You've met them in real life?
I have. I've met them before. Yeah.
The nuns
my
have been around
God.
for a while.
I haven't been to their grow, but I have met them. I spent some time with them actually at the Women in Cannabis conference that was a couple of years ago before COVID.
Are they Catholic nuns?
As opposed to?
I do not
What
believe
other
that
nuns?
they are Catholic nuns. No.
Okay.
What other kind of religion has nuns? I thought it was only Catholics.
I do not know. I'm not entirely up to speed.
Jason,
Nick, did they say what religion they are?
Jason, that's none of your business.
Right. Basically.
Affiliated with
Cannabis.
any religion.
Yeah.
Hold on. So you're telling me that they don't have the blessing of the Pope, okay, to call themselves nuns, so they're just imposter, and
They're
it's just
not
they
real
think it's
nuns.
Halloween every day,
No.
and they
They have the blessing of the dope.
want to just be nuns.
All right.
I think God makes.
I mean,
All right. Well.
Yeah, he makes nuns with Mary because God was a alien. How else was she ever going to get pregnant without?
What just happened?
Think about
All
it.
right. That is a great.
His name is Yakub.
Yakub. Y-A-K. Spell this. Y-A-K.
Y-A-K-U-B. Yakub.
Y-A-K-U-B.
I realized I'm too high to regulate.
Anunnaki.
All right.
Oh,
All right.
boy.
So up next, we have. Thank you so much for that story, Nicholas. That was super interesting. And yeah, the nuns have been around for a while. I kind of always thought they were a Catholic. I guess now it's interesting to know that
They're
have
Catholic
religion.
imposters.
How do you become a nun? Well,
I'm
we'll
not
figure
sure.
that out. We'll
They were
figure
on
that out.
Sister
We'll figure out how you become a nun.
Sister Act 3.
Up next, we have Mandy Tingler, not a nun, but she's met them. She's a cannabis product extraordinaire and serial cannapreneur. She's the co-founder of Camilla, Canagram, and a women's cannabis competition, and the head of brand relations of Conceptions Nursery. Mandy is a crusader for female entrepreneurs in cannabis, and she loves showing the world that cannabis, motherhood, and the executive lifestyle really do go together. Mandy, land this plane for us. We're really sorry about our tech difficulties. What do you have for us today?
It's all good. Good morning, everybody. My article today has a lot to do with a well-known cannabis regulator launching their own cannabis consulting firm. So this one's coming out of Portland, and Today marks the official launch of ERG Strategies, LLC, a consulting firm set to advise governments at all levels and national clients operating in the complex cannabis space. The firm is driven by its founder and former top cannabis regulator for the state of Maine, Eric Gunderson. I'm excited to share my experience and expertise with the government entities and cannabis businesses nationwide. Says I look forward to contributing to sustainable, equitable, and responsible cannabis markets on a larger scale. Gunderson's time in cannabis policy started as senior policy advisor in Maine's Speaker's office as a liaison to the legislator's Joint Select Committee on Marijuana Legalization and Implementation. The committee credited with drafting the Maine Legalization Act, which serves as the framework for Maine's now burgeoning adult use cannabis program. In February 2019, Maine's Governor Janet Mills tapped Gunderson to establish the Office of Cannabis Policy and launch the state's adult use cannabis program. Under Gunderson's leadership, the Office of Cannabis Policy successfully ushered in the first set of program rules, scaled the office, built out systems and processes, and began accepting license applications at the end of 2019. Maine's adult use cannabis program launched in 2020 amid the COVID pandemic. I'm incredibly proud of everything we accomplished during my time leading the Office of Cannabis Policy, said Gunderson. Cannabis regulators are a small group of the most dedicated public servants imaginable. I look forward to continuing my work in cannabis alongside this amazing group and private companies as well. Gunderson also was a founding member of CANRA, lots of letters in this acronym, the National Association of Cannabis Regulators. So, friends, we have someone who's been in the government coming to our side. What do you think of this?
I think that it's happening more and more. We have Chris Eggers. He's an ex-cop, right? And then we've got the guy that owns Glass House. He's an ex-cop. And they're my favorite. So the head forensic or accounting forensic investigator in the case against Sweetleaf that worked for the government started an entire business off of doing that for businesses. And his bio on his website is like, I was the lead investigator on the Sweetleaf case and I can show you. And I'm like, holy shit. And it shows this whole thing about how he's specialized in it. So, I think a lot of
career off that.
We're just
come to the dark side. We've got cookies.
Yeah,
we're just the latest industry to do that shit. It's just like all these politicians, as soon as they get out of office, they start their own consulting firms.
Yeah.
It's a revolving door, and cannabis is just going to be the next revolving door. But on the positive side of that, maybe it'll bring in a lot more lobbying money per Gretchen's request, so we can actually get shit done and move shit forward.
People that are actually going to put money behind real lobbying. And not to be a dick, I know we do some lobbying in the industry, but we're not.
I will say
the nail polish industry is more.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot. There are a
politically
handful
astute
of
in the cannabis industry, and those are facts.
Oh, yeah,
I was
go
just
ahead,
gonna say, if you want to see real money, you need real industry because it ain't coming from the cannabis industry.
We need some 280E relief so we can put in some real money, though, Gretchen. That's what we really need. Because we
broke.
There's plenty of money in this shit, but it ain't on the legal side.
Yeah.
Yep.
No money.
Everyone's broke. Broke bitches.
I would say that I do like crossover. I would actually like to see more folks from the cannabis industry go and get involved in the local political offices of the cities and the counties that are regulating us, because they have a better understanding of what's really happening.
I would love that so much, Mandy. But on the flip side of that, like, if you're going on the legal side of the cannabis industry, you're already losing a shit ton of money, and then you're gonna like make even less money by going small time. Like,
Salem doesn't even like
happening
it.
in California cannabis right now, but like regulators are getting paid and the operators are not. I don't know if you know that. It hurts.
Yeah, I think unless you're running for city council in Los Angeles, where you make $220,000, this is why they're not leaving office, even though they're racist as fuck. They're still collecting them checks.
Yeah.
Like most other places, you're making less than $100,000. You got to put up a lot of shit. So I'm through with them dollars. The trap will live to see another day.
Gretchen, when you were out and the Pot Brothers at Law were here, they were telling me, they're like, we just need to figure out how to get you to swear less and have you run for politics. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm scared. I fucking hate this place. I hate this place. And they're like, we need people to help people understand what's actually happening in the industry. And there's not a good crossover. Like, Gretchen, I think you've been probably one of like 10 people that I've met in the industry that I'm like, you actually have a real connection to people in Washington in a big way. And the other one's Jason Beck. And look at this guy. Like, I'm glad that we have you.
What do you mean?
We cannot.
Do you know how effective I am?
I know you are. I know you are.
I walk the walk and talk the talk.
I can get you pretty much anything you want or need in DC. So, I'm connected, just not with politicians.
That's fair.
We need politicians. You need. I know we hate them, but you need them.
Yeah.
I don't hate politicians. I hate the system.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I love politicians. This bullshit system needs to be run by the people, bottom up, face down.
Oh God, nothing works like that, Rico.
Next. All right. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us every Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. Please make sure that you like and subscribe us on YouTube. Big shout out to everyone that's sponsoring us. Huge thank you to all of our correspondents for tuning in. 3 is 4 for making us look shiny, and Weed for giving us a reason to do this. Thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us.
Hi, y'all.
You are tuned in to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebs and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and enthogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck, Rico Lamitte, and Nicole West, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time. Thank you for getting high at 9 with us.